ChatBack on RCV News.
My name is Angel Kasabo. Thank you so much, wherever you are tuned in from, that you are with us this morning. And just a reminder that we are live on Facebook. So for Facebook, you search for RCV News. RCV News, search for it. Make sure you do get liking. And don't forget to share the page so you can come through for your contributions and questions on RCV News. That's on Facebook. Then the number is 0956 200 490, 0956 200 490. We do have an interesting topic of discussion this morning, and our topic of discussion this morning is, are some GMOs safe? This is our topic of discussion. Are some GMOs safe? And our guest this morning, we do have a team from the National Biosafety Authority. We do have the Communications Officer, Madam Sandra Lombe. Good morning and welcome to ChatBack.
Good morning, Angel, and good morning, listener. It's a wonderful morning. It's cool. Better than the previous days.
Yes, most definitely.
It's good to be back at Radio
Christian Voice after a long time.
After a long time.
Yeah. Then also we do have the Senior Biosafety Officer Standards and Technical Liaison, Mr. Christopher Simuntala. Good morning and welcome to ChatBack.
Good morning, Angel. Good morning, listeners. And It's good to see you once more.
Yeah, good to always have, the authority in studio just to have a conversation with us and to learn and understand these issues. So in case you have those burning questions on GMOs, I tell you what, this is your program. The number is 0956 200 490. I think let's start it on a light note because there's been a lot of misconception on the mandate of the National Biosafety Authority. Maybe I think let's start it from there. What is really the mandate of the National Biosafety Authority?
The National Biosafety Authority has a mandate to regulate matters related to gene technology. I'll talk about GMOs in particular, because I think most of the time it's the GMO aspect that comes out so much. So we regulate the research, development, import, export, transit, contained use, release or placing on the market of any GMO or a product of a GMO, whether intended for use as a food, feed, or a pharmaceutical product. Our ultimate goal is to ensure the safety for the human beings, animals, and the environment. So you see, it's a mouthful. It's a lot of work that we have in terms of regulation. So yes.
And what's also very interesting, you've talked about animals, but before we get to that, maybe
just an addition, because I think this is an opportunity to make sure that we make certain things clear to the listeners. So when we say the National Biosafety Authority's mandate is to regulate the research and development, what does it mean? Because you cannot regulate the research and development if you can't reject or accept. So it means that if anyone wants to do any activity and research in anything that they want to research, because you see, gene technology or genetically modified organisms, when you are doing research, you have an intent. You have what you want to achieve. So you could want to achieve, maybe you want to come up with a variety in terms of plants, because remember, this is the one healthy activity that involves human beings, animals, and plants. So if it is plants, you want to come up with a variety that is resistant to certain diseases or a variety that is resistant to certain pests. So before you do that, and you want to use gene modification or gene technology or biotechnology, so if you want to use this technology to modify such a plant and come up with such a plant that will resist pests or diseases, you cannot do that without asking for permission from the National Biosafety Authority. So the National Biosafety Authority will grant you permission because you've sent us an application, we've reviewed the application, we've gone all through the processes that we'll obviously talk about today, and then we grant you permission. But when we grant you permission, we need to make sure that you ensure biosafety, meaning that research must not affect human beings, animals. And the environment. So the environment, the organisms that are in the environment, animals also are found in the environment. and plants are also found in the environment. So that research must not affect anything like that. That is biosafety. So the other thing is you could be thinking of coming up with a vaccine because you've seen there's a disease. You see, these things that you are responding to, they are things that are happening because of climate change. You know, in the environment, there is climate change that is affecting the way we live, that is affecting plants, that is affecting animals. So when you want to come up with a vaccine for human beings because there's a disease that has come, the quickest way for you to come up with that vaccine because you want to address the problem is to use biotechnology, gene technology, gene modification. So you will quickly come up with a vaccine. And I can give you a very typical example of a clinical situation where COVID disease came and COVID vaccines were used. Most of those COVID vaccines that we were using, they're actually products of research because somebody somewhere did do gene modification and came up with these COVID vaccines, and so we used them. They are GMO vaccines. 3/4 of those vaccines that we used, J&J, which is Johnson and Johnson,
those are GMO
AstraZeneca,
vaccines.
the Pfizer, the Moderna, those vaccines are genetically modified. And I did not hear any uproar. But we had to do a risk assessment and ensure that this vaccine that has come into the country at the molecular level, where you are using genes, because, you know, we are regulating that aspect of going down to the molecular level and see those ingredients that have been put there, they will not be able to affect human beings, animals, and the environment.
Very, 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 very interesting
and
there.
Similar to animals.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think first, sorry to take you back, maybe for the sake of our listeners, because some of them, you know, just hear of these GMOs. Maybe if we could also start from there. Definition of GMOs. What are genetically modified organisms? Yeah, let's first start it from there.
Okay. Genetically modified organisms. You see, even the way the word comes, you are saying that you have an organism whose genes you have altered, you've changed, you've modified for a specific intent or purpose. So, you know, when an organism's genetic makeup has been altered, the output is a genetically modified organism. Now, you see, just defining.
So these are chemicals that are being used.
Well, yes, because it all involves biochemistry.
Okay.
But what I can say on a layman's point of view, you see, for a human being to look the way they look, it's because of their genetic makeup. It's because of what they have at that molecular level, their genetic makeup. The characteristics that they make them appear the way they appear is because of the genetics, the genes that are in their body, those proteins that have been expressed to make them the way they appear. So gene modification targets those entities that makes something look the way it looks. So now, to make it clear for the listeners, because I think, I'm a medical scientist, I don't want to go too deep into the science that people will not understand. So I want to say that a good example would be if, for example, you want to produce good livestock, because you have seen that your neighbor has good animals, and then you also have animals that are not doing very well. The easiest way for you to make sure that your animals begin to produce good milk like your friends' animals are producing is to go and cross those animals. Now, that is happening naturally. So when you cross your animals with the animals from the other farmer, the genes in that farmer whose production is very high will cross over to your animals. And then they'll also begin to have good production of milk. You see? So you've crossed conventionally. That is the natural crossing at a conventional level or a traditional level. Now, biotechnology deals with doing with that which you want to do conventionally in the laboratory. At a molecular level. You get the logic. So you go in the lab.
So it's safe to say that GMOs are produced in the lab.
Of course. That's the beginning. Yes. The beginning is that, you see, you don't want to go and use the whole boo. This boo that you've seen that when it crosses with how do I say it? When it crosses with animals at that farmer where you've seen high production, there is high production of milk. But then, for you to use that, you need the whole animal to come to your farm, and then you'll be able to do that. But at the molecular level, you can actually specifically go and find that gene in that bull. That makes it, when it mates with the female animals and there's high production of milk, you can specifically extract it, get it, and insert it into the ovary, for example, at the molecular level. And when you do that, then you let it grow. You can let it grow in a test tube. You can let it grow in any way that you want to do, but in the lab. And then when it grows, then you transplant that and put it into an animal. Then that animal will be able to produce calves that will have high milk production.
So this GMO is not only applied to food, but also animals.
It's anything.
And medicine also, right?
Yes.
Pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
The insulins, the COVID vaccines that is spoken about.
Even the cholera vaccine today.
Yes, the cholera vaccine.
There's GMO in there.
It's GMO. So not only that, I can go on. The list is big.
We've granted some permits for some clinical trials
Yeah.
and some research involving GMO. So we have research activities going on to fight TB,
Yes.
also to fight
Dysentery,
and,
malaria, sickle cell.
yes, HIV/AIDS. So it's not just the food
Yeah.
or the feed; it's also about the pharmaceutical aspect.
Yeah. So gene technology can be used for a lot of things. That's why I said if we just go through and tell you that our mandate is to do this, people will not understand. So even this situation, this situation that we've been faced with, I am looking for a scientist because I'm a regulator. I'm a scientist who is a regulator. So I'm looking for a scientist that will help us, because you see, look at how long the drought has taken. There's something that a scientist can do and modify the maize, and it gives us good maize and production is high, and we still have maize.
Yeah.
So you see, it's something that you can just go and dream. You need to sit in the lab. You need to be educated. Now capacity has been built in the country. People understand how to manipulate organisms and come up with better products. So this drought, it has hit the country. What is the solution?
Yeah.
It's biotechnology. And for us as National Biosafety Authority, we will regulate that research and make sure that that product that will come out of that drought-resistant variety will not be able to affect human beings, animals, and the environment. Even when you eat and I eat, I will not die from anything like that.
You've talked about not only food stuff, but also pharmaceuticals, feed. So then is it safe to say, coming back to our question, are some GMOs safe?
Yes, of course. You remember what I told you in the beginning. I mentioned that when you are producing genetically modified organisms, you have an intent. You don't just come up with a product that you don't know what you want it to do. Isn't it so? Yeah. So if you want to modify an organism to wipe the entire race, that's your intent. Isn't it so?
Yeah.
If you want to produce a genetically modified organism or a product that will feed the nation, your intent is to make sure that human beings have food. You alleviate hunger. If you want to cure a disease, your intent is to cure a disease. So it's the intention. That's why we are there.
Yeah.
We are there to regulate and ensure that a product that is coming into the country through import, through whether it is just transiting, it's a product that will not affect human beings, animals, and the environment. But if it's a product that is meant to affect human beings, to affect our animals, to affect the environment, we will not authorize such a product.
I actually asked that question because there's been a lot of argument, by some sections of society that say, look, anything that is produced in the lab can never be safe for a human being. So this is where I'm actually getting that question, because they say, look, these are just chemicals, and chemicals long term may have an impact on a human being.
Okay, Angel, are you aware that your body is full of chemicals?
Yeah, chemicals in my body,
including your skin. This is protein.
Yeah. So
protein is. It's something that is biochemistry. It's coming from a biochemistry kind of arrangement. The whole lot of your body, anything that we can get to analyze it and know what it is, it's full of biochemistry.
So my body is full of GMO.
We used to say advanced biochemistry. Because you have keratin, which is found somewhere. you have melanin that is found in the color of your skin. So the whole body is made out of biochemistry. Now, what I want to say is that it's the intent of what you want to produce that is important. I keep giving this good example. There's what they call BT maize. BT maize is genetically modified maize that comes from a combination of a certain gene from Bacillus thuringiensis, which is called BT, which is in the soil, and is commonplace in the soil. Now, this bacteria, it is a bacteria that is found in the soil, and it has a certain gene or a certain protein that when you extract that protein and you bring the American bollworm next to it, the American bollworm will die. The American bollworm is a worm that devastates maize. It destroys maize and burrows through the maize, burrows through the corn.
It's not the 4-army worm?
It was similar to the 4-army, but the 4-army worm is also another worm.
Yeah.
It actually, this BT, the Bacillus thuringiensis, and the gene that is found in Bacillus thuringiensis that affects the American bollworm can also affect the army worm.
Yeah.
So, but I want to tell you that this microorganism is in the soil everywhere in the world.
Yeah. So
Maybe just to add on, when
Yeah.
it comes to like products or crops of GM, Angel, this process normally takes a very long period of time
to come up with a
before
product.
There's a commercial release. I'll tell you, maybe a research for a certain, maybe if it's a seed, it can even take up to 5-10 years before it is approved and before it is released. This is because they want to check the risks involved, and by the time they are releasing it, they will have known that this product may not have effects or adverse effects on the human beings, animals, and the environment.
In fact,
it really takes a longer period.
In
of
fact,
time.
Angel, what I want you to hear,
when you talk about-
hear from this example.
Yeah.
I want you to listen to this example, including the listeners that are hearing to this. You see, the Bacillus thuringiensis is a microorganism found in the soil everywhere. Everywhere in the world in the soil, this bacteria is there. When the kids are playing, they will get the soil and put in the mouth. They will never die from this Bacillus thuringiensis, no matter how much they take.
So it's a safe GMO.
Even if it's a safe microorganism. Even if you get a sore, you have a sore, a kid has a sore, he gets the sore and puts it on the wound. The kid will not die. But when you extract, you are being so specific. What is this gene? What is this protein that can kill the American bollworm? So that when we insert into a maize plant, this maize plant will be able to thrive and there will be production. And when people eat this maize, whether grain, whether cornflakes, whether mealie meal, they will not die.
Yeah. So according to you, this so-called hybrid seed that has come, maize, those are genetically modified, isn't it?
They are modified at a conventional level.
What do you mean when you say
at a conventional level? What I mean, remember I was talking to you, you get an animal, you go and get an animal from that farmer that where there's good production, you cross it with your own so that production increases. So now at a conventional level, scientists have been able to come up with hybrids. So they will just get certain varieties that are performing very well and varieties that are not performing very well, or they will pick the best and then cross them and come up with a hybrid. So conventionally crossed.
Okay.
Or traditionally crossed, maybe I can put it that way.
Yeah.
You just wait for the pollen to come and move and fall on this maize, and then you come up with the seed. That is the outcome of that. So now for gene modification, you are being so specific.
Yeah.
Instead of you doing it conventionally, you don't even know whether it will cross or the outcome will be good enough. But with gene technology, you are so specific. You get it extracted and insert it into the other. There are a lot of methods that are used.
I actually have a question. When you're saying, look, I think this is safe. This may not harm humans. This is not safe. Is that sort of like a threshold to say if this maybe food substance or this feed,
the drug or something.
Yes, or drug goes beyond this, then now it is deemed as not safe to human beings?
A lot of research is going on. When you are coming up with a vaccine or when you are coming up with a foodstuff, there are a lot of medically we say trials that you will do for you to come up with a safe product. So you start doing some experiments.
You do the
For
trials
example,
on the
you
human
can
beings.
No. You start with primates. You start
Okay.
with animals. You start with chickens. You start with birds. You start with things that will not be human beings, in short. Then you come to human beings. The same thing is done for vaccines and drugs. The same thing is done for this kind of
So
food
all these
stuff.
vaccines, they actually they trial them on human on animals.
First of all, they are tried on animals. And something closer to a human being is an animal that looks like it.
Trust me, it's not fair being an animal then.
No, but you want to come, but you see, you want to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
So you're not doing it for fun. You are trying to come up with a solution. Now, as you do those trials, you come up with a level that will be acceptable for a human being.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to simplify that.
All right. So in case you are just tuning in, you are listening to Friday's edition of ChatBack right here on Radio Christian Voice. I do have Sandra and Christopher from the National Biosafety Authority, and this morning we are discussing are some GMOs safe? So for your question, the number is 0956 200 490, 0956 200 490. Then remember, also live on RCV News. And remember, RCV News is a platform where we do post everything current affairs. So come through and let's get interactive. Okay, now let's flip the coin on the other side, because I have so many questions on
No
GMOs.
worries, I know. And make sure you follow the trail properly. Because otherwise you will lose the listeners.
Okay, but then there's an issue now here on health complications. But maybe let's touch that. I know maybe you may not be really health specialists, but I know you regulate these things, so you do have an idea of the health complications of GMOs. Maybe before you start to categorize, is there such thing as, look, whether this GMO is safe, it's not safe, it has this health implication on you? Is there such?
Maybe before he answers, I just want to give you one scenario. I think we had a complaint or a report. I think this has to do with myths and misconception, because somebody was commenting. I think it was the time that we had the issue coming very hot of the GMO millimio, and this person says, no, I know someone that ate in Shima yesterday and they are sick. So I was like, okay, fine. Is it that it's only the Nshima that they ate? How many were they? No, there were about 5 or 6 of them. Then how many got sick? One person. So you now start wondering, is it possible? Unless this person has been eating, for example, GMO foods, maybe from day one, they don't eat anything else, and then a research is done and they say, okay, this person has been eating GMOs. Let's say this person has been eating GMOs from day one, nothing else. This one has been eating other foodstuffs. And then you compare and say there's this aspect of a disease or illness that has been found in this person that has been eating, comparing to this person that has not been eating, maybe with a third person that has been combining GMOs, non-GMOs. But as far as where we stand here as the National Biosafety Authority, we have not received any reports of effect, have we?
No. So
from anyone.
Yes.
I'm sure it could come if we were to receive such information. It should come from the Ministry of Health.
Exactly.
Or anywhere else.
So Christopher, just before you come in, so does it mean that a little of GMO once in a while is okay?
No.
Even every day.
Even every day.
Cornflakes. Angel.
Angel.
How long have you been eating cornflakes? Kellogg's cornflakes.
They
have GMO.
I don't eat cornflakes.
Maybe adding the Bisto soups to your meat products. It may contain GMOs. There are lots of cereals.
Okay, fine. But before we actually come, we come to the previous question.
Wait a minute.
Okay, fine. Let's look at the foods.
I want to address that before you go. As long as this is a product that has been approved by the National Biosafety Authority, we would tell you that this one is safe. Unless it's a
despite
product
it having a GMO.
Despite it having a GMO. Unless it's a product that has not passed through the National Biosafety Authority, we conduct a risk assessment before a product is placed
authorized
on the market. So you are assured that That is why we are there.
Yeah.
That is our mandate.
Okay.
To
Yes.
make sure that you are safe.
So
we are
I
safe.
actually have a question. You've talked about conflicts, right? And these conflicts are approved by the national.
It's not just that we have a list
Yes.
of them.
So
We have over
because then
90.
if you are saying that I've been, let's say, taking for conflicts for my breakfast every morning for 4 years,
Well, have you died?
Or have you changed?
Have you
but why do you have to approve it if I haven't died?
It's safe.
It's safe.
Yes.
So conflicts that have GMO in them are safe.
Yes. You know, you see, the misconception, that's why I think I just needed to come in. You see, the misconception that people have, they are demonizing GMO.
There are lots of myths.
There are a lot of myths.
Disinformation.
There's a lot of
misinformation.
confusion.
So
You get the logic?
Yeah.
So I want to tell
But
you
that's not to say that GMOs are bad.
You see, I've told you, that's why we started from very
Yeah.
far, and I'm sure listeners are following. When you are making a genetically modified organism, you have an intent. There's a solution that you want to solve. Or you want to come up with. You want to come up with a solution. There's a problem that you want to solve. So if there's a problem that you want to solve, and you come up with a product that is genetically modified, and its intent is to make sure that it is used as like a biological control, for example, against pests or against diseases, and then it still thrives and you have productivity. Is that bad or wrong? If you come up with a genetically modified organism, you go and use anthrax. You see, anthrax kills animals. It kills human beings.
Yes.
It kills a lot of things. So you get a gene from anthrax that is virulent, and you insert it into, for example, maize, and it starts killing people. Is that good?
No.
That's a bad GMO. You get the logic?
Yeah.
Even if you added it into the vaccine, that's a bad GMO. Because it will be able to kill human beings.
If I'm getting you right, GMOs are good provided they're used for the intended purpose?
Exactly.
Something like that?
And provided they are authorized by the National Biosafety Authority. Yes.
With good intentions.
Exactly.
GMOs with good
Because
intentions.
there could be others that, like
I'm listening to that for the first time.
They could bring disaster.
Yeah.
So for those that are made for good intentions,
Yeah.
They are okay.
Okay, fine. I
listen
like
to
how
this.
you talked about conflicts because I have a question. So, are there food substances that have wanted to come into the country, but you do your survey and you see
Risk assessment,
yes,
and find that
these ones
bad.
are not. Have we had such instances?
So far, no.
Ever since the National Biosafety Authority was
No, we have not
formed?
found any. We've not found any so far.
How possible is
and I
that?
want to, the ones that are coming into the country because somebody wants to import food feed. And then
these are
when we do a
products,
risk assessment, we find that it's not injurious. It's as conventional or substantially equivalent to the conventional maize. And everything, all the ingredients, the proteins, there is no such heavy variations that will cause harm to human beings, animals, and the environment.
And
Can you
even where
reject
they are
that?
coming from their products that have been on the market for a longer period of time.
True.
A risk assessment has been done on them and they've been found to be safe. So even when we do risk assessment ourselves and we find those products that are safe, we do allow them because the Act provides for that. The Act does allow. You know, there's this notion that GMOs are not allowed in the country. GMOs are allowed, or products of GMOs are allowed in the country, but with prior authorization from the National Biosafety Authority. This means that you have to apply for you to bring in this product.
That means they're dangerous.
No. They could be.
You know
Why
where
are
we
they
are coming
applying?
from.
If they're not dangerous, then why don't you just allow them to come in?
No.
Yeah.
They could
It's the Act
be.
that provides.
They could be. So when you say could be, then that means they're dangerous.
No,
Yeah.
they are not dangerous, but they could be some that are dangerous, and there could be some that are okay. That's why we are there. You know,
To regulate.
the regulation is not for fun. It's because some people can have an evil intent, and some people can have a good intent. And this, because of that, we do a risk assessment. It's a scientific procedure. It's not propaganda. It's not hearsay. It's real.
Yeah.
It's science.
Yeah.
science you prove, and you make sure that it is as rigorous as it can be, so that that product, when it comes into the country, is safe for human beings, animals, and the environment.
Yeah, I'm actually one of those people that boast that I don't take GMO stuff.
And you eat cornflakes.
Well,
You
not
eat
cornflakes, but I think based on. But look, there are certain foods that people say, me, I don't eat GMO just because they don't eat cornflakes.
Okay.
But what are some of those foods that actually do contain these GMOs and probably maybe we're not aware of them?
Yeah,
Since you've said that's safe.
Okay, I'll give you an example. We have some cereals, yes, like the cornflakes that we're talking about.
Yeah.
We have some porridges. We have some
Instant
spices.
porridges.
Yes, instant porridges.
Even
We have
spices.
Spices,
Yes,
a lot of them. Some of them, I'm sure you also eat. We have given, I think, one of the biggest suppliers of spices in the country. We've given them a permit, and they do supply. And there are lots of end users that are using these spices in their products.
It's used
we
in
have
beef,
actually advised them
sausage.
to label it. Yes.
Even ordinary sausage.
Yes. So they do that.
Okay.
So we also have premixes for some of the products
baking
for baking.
Yes.
So you know that it's beyond, it's actually wide.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And you see, what you just need to make sure you understand, you need to know that genes, when you're talking about genes and organisms, you see, even in themselves, the genes and organisms, they are found in all sorts of products. These genes in organisms, these proteins, they are found in a lot of organisms. You know, rape, it has its own genes. Eggs, they have their own genes. You know, and caterpillars have their own genes. Cattle, their own genes and proteins, of course. And whatever you mention, any organism has different proteins. And in fact, it will be surprising for you to hear that if you eat chicken and you eat beans, you eat maize, you've eaten different organisms and you've put them into the body.
Yes.
But then certain people have allergies against these proteins, against these food products, against these genes. Have you heard of somebody reacting because they've eaten a waterback? Have you heard of somebody reacting because they've eaten a pig? Have you heard of somebody reacting because they've eaten aflatoxins, or maybe they've eaten maize that has aflatoxins, or they've eaten groundnuts that have aflatoxins? So people react to some of those things. And some people will just react to soybeans. They will just touch soybeans and they will react. But that doesn't mean everyone else will react.
Yeah. I have another question there. Because if you're saying that majority of these food substances that come through in the country, 90% or 95 or 99.9% safe, we've seen you, destroy products. Yes.
Okay.
So then why are you destroying if these things are safe?
Okay,
Why we are destroying these things is because they have come into the country without
authorization
a permit from the NBA, without authorization.
Are you sure? Not that they're not safe?
No.
No. It has nothing to do with the safety. I'm sure you're referring to the recent destruction of
just
the
the recent
millimil.
one. Yes.
That millimil was placed on the market without authorization.
Illegally.
If you remember when we were talking about our mandate, we did also state that we are mandated to regulate GMOs that are placed on the market. So that product came in illegally without prior authorization from the NBA. For example, today, Angel, if you want to bring in the same millimil that may contain GMOs, you follow the application process. And when a risk assessment is conducted, if everything is okay, we give you a permit.
Yeah.
You are authorized. But that product did not have authorization from the authority. Hence, it has to be destroyed.
Yeah, the question is, I mean, when you find such, why can't you just, because it's a business. So then why don't you just put the owners to the side, said, look, let's go now, you comply, and then you carry on, rather than destroy.
No.
Because to our eyes, when we see the National Biosafety destroying, such products, automatically we think, hey, these things are not safe.
No.
That's why they've taken this road.
It's because they didn't have a permit.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you there are lots of penalties that one can suffer. That's just one of the penalties. Seizure and distraction. There is also that one can be fined up to 500,000 penalty units or jailed up to 15 years. Even both. So you see that if we're going to allow anyone that brings in anything or places something on the market illegally, and then we just drag them to the corner and say,
no, we can't
start
do
the
that.
process. We can't do that.
Okay.
And the
All
process
right.
is long.
Yeah.
It takes about 120 days, almost 4 months.
Yeah.
So that product will just be seated there for about 4 months.
So you'd rather just destroy. Okay,
It's
let's
punishment.
do this.
the law.
It's almost 10.
Okay.
We do have the news coming at 10.
Okay.
And then we'll continue our conversation just after the news.
No worries.
So up next is the news. But you can send your text messages to the number 0956 200 490 for your questions on GMOs. We do have an interesting conversation here. So make sure you do send your text messages to that number. Then later on, we will open the phone lines and give an opportunity to call in and have your contribution live on air.
ChatBack on RCV News.
Today, we do have an interesting topic. We are looking at the topic, are some GMOs safe? And we do have a team from the National Biosafety Authority. We do have the Communications Officer, Sandra Lombe, and also the Senior Biosafety Officer Standards and Technical Liaison, Christopher Simuntala. They are with us in studio just to help us understand this particular topic. So for your questions, contributions, 0956 200 490. Then remember also we are live on Facebook. You go to RCV News, search for RCV News, and you find the video up there running. And you can leave your contribution and question just below the video. All right, let's get back to the conversation. And you've made some interesting points here. And I don't know, at the back of my head, I'm telling myself, these things are very difficult to believe. But hey.
How are they difficult to
How are they difficult
Okay,
to believe?
I actually have quite a number of questions. Let me start with this one.
Yeah.
Getting back now to the health implications, really,
Yes.
So there's been a lot of people that actually what I do before I have you on radio, I say, look, guys, I'm having the National Biosafety coming through radio program on Friday.
Yeah.
What are some of those questions? Yeah, so majority of the questions, but then there's an issue to say, look, when we go on Google, we type effects of GMO foods, and then things will come, cancer. They'll make you weak. So then where do we place those conversations? Because you're now saying that GMOs are safe.
Okay. I'm going to tell you what we do when we receive an application. When we receive an application, the first thing that we do is, of course, somebody has an intent, or the person that wants to bring in that product. Either they want to do research or they want to import a product that is genetically modified or that was made from a genetically modified organism, for example, cornflakes. And when they bring that application, we check it for completeness, meaning that it should have all the details that we want about the production of that particular product. Or if they are coming to do research, they should give us all the information about that organism that they want to come and do research on. You know, and for your information, there is very little on plants and animals, but there is a lot on human beings. So the research in the country that is going on that we've authorized is basically for human beings. Then after that, we put up a public notice for public consultation. In fact, we consult the public consultation, we call it. So when we consult the public, we want you to tell us those things that you are talking about, that it causes cancer, it causes this, it does this, whatever myths that you have. And after that, we have technical consultation. The experts in that particular field or that particular research or that particular product that is coming into the country, we want them to review the information that we have received. When they review the information plus what we receive from the public, we take it to what we call the Scientific Advisory Committee. The Scientific Advisory Committee is also a group of experts, different fields. You can talk of immunologists, pathologists, clinicians or medical doctors. You can talk of microbiologists, genetics, biotechnologists. Talk of all scientists that are involved in looking at organisms and what will happen if this product is injected into a human being or when this product is eaten by a human being. or when it is eaten by an animal, or when it drops in the environment, what is it that is going to happen?
Yeah.
So you see, that should begin to open up your mind. Because if I'm going to bring an immunologist, he should tell me that if you eat this product, whether it's cornflakes, whether it's spices, whether it's whatever it is, whatever genetically modified product or organism that is coming into the country, if it comes into contact with you, are you going to have any allergies?
Yes.
Are you the toxicologist will also be there to tell me or to tell us that is this toxic? What level of toxicity is in this product that when you eat it will cause that? There will be a pathologist to tell us that if you eat this product, it will show that cells will go haywire and begin to proliferate very high so that it results into cancer. Or it will cause some change into the body and result into cancer. You see, so we have all this team, scientific advisory committee team, that will begin to analyze and assess and evaluate the product that is coming into the country. Then after you've done this evaluation, based on scientific evidence, then propaganda comes that it causes cancer. Who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the scientist that is telling you that this does not cause cancer? Or you are going to believe anyone? Google has anything. Google brings all sorts of things. You need to go on Google Scholar for you to get the right information. But if you go on Google and you just blast anything, that whatever you want, it will bring all sorts of things.
Maybe just to add on, it is with great concern as the authority. Most of the time we just get the reactions. We get people to talk from the other venues instead of coming to us. I'll give an example. He mentioned the process of the public consultation. That is a month, 30 days plus. These adverts are placed in 2 widely read newspapers. We do share widely, even on our social media platform. We share with mass emails and everything else. But I'll tell you that sometimes we receive very few comments from the public. But this is an opportunity for the public to come forth, to bring all those issues that they talk about. If they have scientific evidence, no problem, it will be considered. Whatever information that they bring to us, we take to the scientific advisory committee. So if people are just going to speak there and they're not getting involved in this public consultation, then it causes great worry. They have been given an opportunity that they should come and air their views. They should come and bring their issues that they have as regards to GMOs. Maybe specifically for that activity or for that application. Yes. But rarely. You only get to hear so much when maybe you've granted a permit or maybe something else has happened. But here we are. We've been calling on them. Actually, our officers have been very open. So people should make sure that when we call for the public consultation, that 30 days, I'm sure even if someone is very busy, you can drop 30 for maybe a page or less than a page or even a sentence to us and give us the background.
And by the way, I've just given you the first part of the risk assessment. There are other things that we check. We even check the composition. The nutritional composition, if it is food feed.
Okay, I actually have another question. And this, let's now bring it home. So then the question would be, all these, especially food items that the National Biosafety Authority has authorized, do they have any health implications on a human being?
No.
The ones that you've authorized?
No. They don't.
Literally nothing.
That's why. I mean, you've told me you've been eating cornflakes for the past 4 years and nothing has happened to you. What has happened to you? And I'm sure you haven't just been eating.
They actually say that the effects will be shown after 50 years or after 20 years.
No. You know,
there's no such thing.
When we are doing that risk assessment, our evaluations are short, mid, and long term. We look at all those.
So
maybe just to add on when we do this risk assessment, it's not the end of the day. If new information come,
we will still come back
to the same document. If we find that there's anything that is going to cause age or maybe to get sick or to get God forbid cancer or to start losing hair, for example, because of that GMO, we will definitely withdraw it. We still keep,
we keep track.
Some of our functions, we ensure that we keep reviewing these permits.
products.
Yeah, now
that have been authorized.
another question, really, this was something I think it was heated in the media, I think 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
talking about this transit millimil coming from South Africa being transported to, I think, the neighboring DRC. There was a lot of conversations about it being GMO maize, for starters.
Yes.
Meaning
But
it
I
is.
remember in your preamble you talked about also transit.
Yes.
So according to you, that is safe maize.
Yes.
Well, that-
for
that-
us,
that-
Safe millennial, rather.
It's the transit
Safe-
authorization that
Yes.
we are giving them.
The key
because
thing
they are transiting,
is what-
we have not done a risk assessment
Okay.
on that product. So the permits that we give them is to pass through.
Is to pass
Zambia.
through. Okay.
From the entry point to the exit point, they are just passing through. I mean, you can't stop someone that says, I want to to pass through. The problem is them if they are going to offload this product on the market. Why? We'll have a similar situation like we did recently, destroying a product because it has been placed on the market without prior authorization,
From the
without a
authority.
permit, without risk assessment. So if that product, I gave you an example that if you want to bring in the GMO mini meal,
Yeah.
you need
Apply.
to follow the application process. If you follow the application process and we grant you the permit, then you can bring in your milli meal and place it on the Zambian market. At the moment, Angel, we have not given anyone a permit
To place on the market.
the
No.
GMO milli meal. Yes, the GMO milli meal that is transiting from South Africa to a neighboring country may contain GMOs. Yes, that we can confirm that it may contain GMOs. For that product that is within our mandate. We are not sure about the other products, but for those that we are granting transit permits, it is because we have been mandated to grant transit permits, and the products, yes, they are GMOs and they are transiting.
Yeah,
Yes.
and maybe the other question would be, it was highly talked about as if maybe our own milli meal do not contain GMO, may contain GMO products. I don't know. Maybe this may be
An opportunity.
coming away from your. But some of the milli meal that we have, our own, that's on the market.
Is it GMO?
Is
Just
it
be
GMO?
direct.
Because then we're trying to protect some companies. You know how people are. Oh,
Yeah.
that's GMO. We stop buying.
No.
I'm trying to be careful here.
No. The thing is, the key thing that you should understand, if any genetically modified product is placed on the market,
Yes.
and we don't remove it,
Yeah.
then we've done an authorization.
So
We've granted
we
the permit.
also have some milli meal that's on the market. Our own milli meal that have GMO.
No.
Oh,
At the
okay.
moment,
Okay.
our midi meal
Yeah.
that is in Zambia
Yes.
is locally grown and is not genetically modified.
Okay.
So the speculation that you're talking about,
Yeah.
it is not true. We
Okay.
did sample and subject
Yeah.
some milli meal last year.
Yes, I mean
We do regular inspections.
Yeah.
We do spot checks.
And
we do
surveillance. Yeah.
So from our surveillance, we did sample a number of milli meal companies, and the tests came out negative. So from where we stand, unless something happened last night or just
But there's
smuggling
nothing.
or illegally placed on the market, not from within.
Yeah.
Yes.
What you do is, even when you're here, call us and tell us, I hear this midi meal that is here is GMO. We will check. If we find that we authorized and we gave them a permit, it will stay.
Yeah, but also.
But if we find
Yes.
there is no permit and we didn't authorize,
Yeah.
we will seize and destroy
But also,
or inflict the other penalties.
it's possible to have GMO milli meal on the market that is safe.
It is
Of course,
possible
it's
if
very
someone
possible.
applies. That's why I gave you an example. If
It's
you
very
wanted
possible.
to bring in a product, we will not stop you. We will ask you to follow the process. That's why I told you the process, the application process, takes about 120
20 days.
almost 4 months. So if you want to bring in that product, we'll take you through the application process that
that I
Sesi
mentioned.
Mutale explained.
Yeah.
So after that process, and if we find your product is safe, we place it on the market.
Okay, let's talk about the bad GMO. I'm sure maybe there are bad GMOs or GMOs that are not intended for the right purposes. Maybe is there such? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they could be there. That's what I can tell you.
They could be there.
Do you know why I say they could be there? The world is too big.
we've never had any record of,
No.
let's say, for instance, in Zambia,
No.
someone dying because they took GMO.
No. We have not,
received any
we work
reports
with Ministry
as
of
regards
Health,
to that.
and we have not received any report from Ministry of Health that this person says they ate GMO and they've reacted to this GMO product that they ate. Not even one. including the vaccines. How many people were vaccinated in Zambia with GMO vaccines, and none of them is reacting and telling us that they are reacting?
Okay, maybe one last question, maybe before we get to the phone lines, seeing that the phone has really been buzzing and people want to have a conversation with you. Maybe compliance, talking about maybe compliance.
Yeah.
What is the authority doing to ensure that, let's say, for instance, these milling companies, you know, you've tested that milling dyeing have GMOs, but what are you doing to ensure that they comply to, you know, whatever has been agreed upon? Okay. Because it's very easy just to alter something and then, yeah.
Yeah, compliance, basically we use the Biosafety Act. It has provisions that we need to do to make sure that people comply. First and foremost, it provides for setting standards. And those standards, those are the standards that people must follow. So if we find that you are off the standards, then we know you are not complying. That is, if you bring in a product into the country that has not been authorized by the National Biosafety Authority, you're not following the standard because we have not authorized your product. Whether they are eating elsewhere, but for us, as long as when you are bringing it into this country, it hasn't been authorized by us, you are abrogating the law and you're not following the set standards. We will seize and destroy or take you to a higher level. DPB and other measures take their course. If you do that, that's why we do inspections. We do surveillance. You know, we have inspectors across all the key entry ports, and we are making sure that these entry ports are manned 24/7, so that all the products that are entering, if they are GMO, they must be products that comply with the National Biosafety Law and they comply with the set standards that we have put in place. They must have a permit.
I think when he's talking about that compliance, the spot checks, even when you have a permit that you are bringing in this product, we'll still check you. And those products that we are suspicious, we do conduct tests on them.
Sampling.
We do sample and test.
And test.
Yes.
Okay, sorry to bring you back. Just a question I think that I should have asked earlier. If these GMOs are safe for consumption, why do we have, for instance, cornflakes labeled to say this may contain GMOs? Why are we having it if after all they're safe?
To make an informed decision whether you want to eat the product that may contain GMOs or not.
But if I'm making a decision, it means that something has to be bad, right? I cannot make a decision whether something is right.
They put the ingredients there. They'll put the various maybe ingredients that have been put in that product.
Angel.
Others, it's maybe
why am I making a decision if this is something good?
Angel,
okay, there are other
between
products,
a chicken...
some of the first, there are other products that will tell you that it may contain certain maybe products that you could react to. They will tell you maybe this product was made in a place where there are groundnuts. Just
and
in
it
case
contains
you don't
allergens.
eat groundnuts.
So
that is to warn you.
So some people react to GMOs.
No.
So far, nobody has reacted.
But why are we saying it may contain GMOs?
Listen, that's a notation.
It may contain because it's a processed.
Let me say something.
Product.
When you have a genetically there is a genetically modified organism, and there is a product of a genetically modified organism. So, a genetically modified organism is GMO.
It's the one that has been modified.
It's the one that has been modified. So when you process this GMO and make a product out of it, because you process it, the level of genes that you detect that are modified will reduce, because you've heated it, you've processed it, the protein has denatured, it's broken down. So the level at which you detect the amount of GMO in that product goes down. And worse off still, if you eat it, when you eat it and it goes into your stomach, the gastric juices are able to break it down, and it has no effect on you.
Wow. Okay. Ish, we do have quite a number of text messages. I think let's start with the callers first. 0956-200-490. 0956-200-490 is the number that you can call for your question, your contribution towards today's topic. Some GMOs safe. And we do have the National Biosafety Authority in studio. Just to help us understand this particular topic, 0956-200-490. I think let's start with Facebook, a contribution. Geoffrey here. No, not Geoffrey. I'm sorry for that. This is Grefani. Grefani says, I'm following keenly from Solwezi. There have been concerns that eating GMO foods can contribute to the development of cancer by raising levels of potentially, this is a very hard word, substances in the body. I'm trying to, this is carcinogenic. Yeah, carcinogenic substances in the body.
Okay.
This is coming through from Grefani from Solwezi. Maybe you could take that down. Let's get a caller here. Good morning. You're through to the program.
Morning. This is Kasonde.
Yes, Kasonde. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Copper Belt, specific.
Yes. Go ahead with the contribution.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out more about the action panel. How are these died in terms of the country? Are they safely equipped with the equipment that is specifically for the actual detection of the actual topic on?
Your line is quite. Your line is. Kasonde, your line is quite bad. Just repeat your question so that our panel get you clearly.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. You can go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to know. Are they still dies throughout the country?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and how safe are in terms of equipment for those people? Have they got the equipment to detect such instances whereby say these are not safe for human consumption?
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Kasonde. Great to know that Copper Belt is listening. That's how many? That's two. Okay,
That's
let's
two.
Again here. Grefani comes on to say, do you, Mr. Simtala, and Madam Sandra, consume GMO foods? I feel the disadvantage of these products seem to outweigh the advantages in the long term. Thank you so much for your contribution. The number is 0956-200-490. I think let's start with these three interventions, really.
Okay. Which one? I go.
You can go first with
Okay. For Grefani, thank you so much. It's good you are following and listening. Grefani, the genetically modified organisms do not have any carcinogens. When you are modifying a genetically modified organism, there is nothing that is been put into a GMO that will result into causing cancer. There's nothing like that, because when you are doing the modification, because my concentration is on the modification. The modification, you are getting a protein from a microorganism and inserting it into another organism for a specific purpose. That process does not have anything that will result into cancer when you eat. There's nothing that will cause cancer. Yeah, but what you need to know is that institutions, in fact, I can combine with the other one that says, do you have equipment to test? You find everywhere somebody can answer. You see, in this country, Zambia today, Zambia is different from the Zambia then. Zambia today has about 7 biotechnology laboratories. And there are a number of chemical laboratories that can detect these residues, whatever residues that may be, that may come from whatever chemical that may result into cancer. The biotechnology laboratories, they can check the genes and verify whether these genes are genes that will cause cancer or they will not cause cancer. We have such laboratories like our lab, the GMO laboratory at NISA. We have such laboratories like Central Veterinary Research Institute. We have such laboratories like at University Teaching Hospital. We have such laboratories at the University of Zambia itself, Tropical Disease Research Center, and other private labs, that are able to detect the kind of proteins that have been inserted into this product and to show whether those proteins or those genes can actually cause cancer or they cannot cause cancer.
Maybe Kasonde, thank you for that question. Whether we are across the country, First things first, yes, we are across the country. We are based at the critical ports of entries. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Health that has provided us with inspectors that are working or carrying out the NBA mandate. As apart from being based in Chilanga, we have those officers that are carrying out the mandate of the National Biosafety Authority. So you can be rest assured that if you're on the Copper Belt, you can go to Ndola. We have our officer at the airport there. We also have another officer at Kasumbalesa. If you're in Southern Province, we have at Kazungula. We have at Victoria. We also have at the airport. If you're coming from Namibia, we have our officer at Katima Mlilo. From the eastern side, Malawi, we have our officers at Mwami. We also have officers at Chanida border. We also have here in Lusaka at KKI. Even in Chirundu we have. So we can safely say, yes, we do have officers across.
Yeah.
And we also do a taste for the labs. He has already explained, but also when we find certain products, we do some rapid tests from time to time.
We also conduct rapid tests at the entry ports. Because, I mean, the key thing is the entry ports. So as the products come into the country, rapid tests are there, and they can check that. Other than that, we have those big labs that I mentioned earlier. Then do you consume, yes. Graphene, GMOs are not a problem. Those are just proteins, and I can assure you I've been eating those proteins. In fact, even in South Africa, from South Africa, from here, from USA, I've eaten all those proteins that are genetically modified, and I have not had an effect on my body. Sir. And I'm fine and I'm okay.
Okay, let's get back to the phone lines. We do have a lot of messages, so let's just try and squeeze in phone calls, and then we'll get to them. Good morning. You're through to the program.
Good morning, thank you.
Yes, your name and where you're calling us from?
Joshua is my name. I'm calling from Lusaka.
Yes, Joshua.
I have a concern. Thanks for the program, but I have a concern, especially I want to get the view of the National Biosafety Authority on the issue of our seed. I think they know, these people, I'm sure they know that most of our seed, if not all of our seed that we're currently using, has this thing called the terminator gene. So now, in essence, unlike the old days where you could replant the seed after you grow it, this terminator gene does not allow us to plant. So it's threatening our food security. You cannot grow maize if you don't buy seed, as it is right now. So I really want to get the view of this, because this is a thing that is now threatening our national food security. Our villagers are totally dependent on the seed they grow. There's not, if you don't have money to buy seed, you are not going to grow any maize. You're not going to grow almost any crop. So I want to get the view of the National Biosafety Authority on this very clear issue in mind.
All right. Thank you so much, Joshua, for your contribution. Great to know that you are listening. The number is 0956 200 490. 0956 200 490. I think seeing that, this question touches on food and national security, I think we could respond to him immediately.
Okay. Yeah. Joshua, that's a very good observation, but I want to tell you that as a regulator for gene technology, when you talk about the terminator gene, what you are telling the people is that when that kind of variety comes into the country, or if it were to come into the country, what will be its advantage? Because if it has a terminator gene, it means when you plant, you can't get the seed and go and plant again. That is what you are telling me. So now I want you to answer this question. Because yes, that's what a terminator gene does, and most people that are developing the varieties that are genetically modified, some of them actually put that terminator gene, some of them do not put that terminator gene. And why they put a terminator gene is just because they want to market it, as you are saying, correctly said. They want to make sure even the other year they sell it, even the other year they sell it. But I see a similar situation with the hybrids. the hybrids are sold on the market, and there are marketers who sell seed on the market, and that seed is sold. So if it's going to be given for free like the hybrid seeds, the country will do that. But I don't want to promote that, and I don't want to go into those lines. I just want to open up your mind so that you see that if the hybrids are being sold on the market, even that variety that is genetically modified, if it has a terminator gene and it was going to be put on the market, that would happen. But that's not my intention. I just want to make sure you understand clearly that both seeds are actually marketed in the same way. The only thing is that that seed would not grow again if anything, such a thing happens. But not every variety that is genetically modified follows that trail.
Yeah. I would just like to put across some misconceptions or myths about GMOs that I would love you to have, to just clarify. And these are things that I've been getting from people. One of the myths that we do have concerning GMOs is that someone walked up to me and said, hey, you know what, Angel? Cancer cases now for son. Do you know why? I said, no. It's because of the food that we're eating. This food is GMO. That's myth number one. Number two, these GMOs also have, to a greater extent, may affect during childbirth, especially for women folk. They say during childbirth, those challenges, it's because of the GMO. Then also, as a man, these things, physically make you, weak, issues of infertility. And then also issues of just not being generally healthy because you are taking in too much of these GMO foods. How true are these myths? If I told there's any that is true there.
Yeah, just to answer that, especially for cancer cases, a lot of things predispose human beings to cancer. If you look at one good example I would give you is cigarettes. It's even written on the cigarette. They say smoking pleasure, but remember that when you smoke, the more you smoke, you are predisposed to cancer. There are such sayings on that packet written. I don't smoke anyway, but I've seen that there are such sayings written on there, and people go on and smoke. That is different with genetically modified organisms. You see, the things that predispose you to cancer, they are totally different. You know that familial lines can predispose you to cancer because your grandfather had cancer. Even the other people subsequently in their generations may have cancer. And many other reasons predispose you to cancer. In fact, if I remember very well in the School of Medicine, one of my lecturers used to say, not to be born is not to have cancer. You can imagine, he would say that in this pathology class. Not to be born is not to have cancer. Because cancer and the things that predispose you to cancer are various. It's the lifestyle. It's a lot of things that predispose you to cancer, but not necessarily genetically modified organism. Because we've been doing risk assessments and the evaluations that we've done, none of the evaluations have told us that the genetically modified products or organisms predispose you to cancer. Then issues of childbirth challenges. How? It's even difficult to understand, because if I look at the pathological consequences when you eat proteins and how it to cause difficulties in childbirth, probably if you eat too much, a lot of food generally, not necessarily just genetically modified, or you eat too much and the baby becomes too big and then you have difficulties in giving birth. Maybe that could be one of the challenges, but then there is nothing of that sort that we have come across. Infertility, nothing at all. How is it going to cause infertility? If I look into the pathology and the occurrences in the body and how it will make you become infertile, it doesn't tarry, it doesn't match up. So all these things are all just myths and they have nothing to do with genetically modified organisms. And remember, genetically modified organisms, in short, what we are saying is you are eating different proteins. The only thing is with this product that is genetically modified, the person was so specific in coming up with this product for various reasons, because probably there is drought in Zambia and the solution must be found. Scientists must sit. There is a variety that survives in the desert. So get a gene from that variety that survives in the desert, put it into the variety that is found in Zambia, so that there is continued productivity. This is gene modification. Come up with a vaccine.
Sandra, another myth here, even as I wrap up with my myths. It's not to say anything bad about the Gen Zs, about the 2000s. They say, look, you see how the 2000s are growing. They look older than us.
Yeah.
They are big, they are tall, they look older than us. And it's because of the GMOs.
Meats almost on a daily basis. Anything that is big
is GMO.
Big, you are tall, maybe you're just generally huge. They'll still say this person is genetically modified. They see a big chicken, it's GMO. We go to the shows, these exhibitions, you find a big pumpkin. They'll say it's a GMO.
Which
big
is not
sweet
true.
Bananas.
No,
GMO.
it's not true.
And then also I think I like how you brought up the issue on chickens, because this is it's been a very big issue. I don't know if it's a myth or the theory there is that whatever GMOs that are being given, those GMOs don't die out. They die out when we eat them and they go into our bodies. That's the theory that is there.
They don't die out where? In the field?
In the chicken.
Which GMOs?
The chickens
that are
the
GMO.
feed the food that are being fed are GMO food, right? So they contain GMOs.
So it doesn't die.
Yes. So when it goes into the chicken, it's not going to die.
No.
And you kill the chicken, and then it will die in me.
It's for the dog food and cat food.
No.
Those are the
In fact,
products that may contain GMOs for the feed that we've granted.
In fact,
so for the chickens,
because there's a hot topic on Ishinko Kosha Whitish. Yes. this is
no. You see,
are they also safe for us?
They are very safe. The thing is, the thing is, there are other things, including conventional food. Conventional food, I'm saying that which has been developed using conventional biotechnology, natural, traditional biotechnology. Or naturally bred. And if you look at the GMO, yes, when you do gene modification, as long as you don't involve other things, they are still safe. The chickens, those chickens, you breed them naturally and you don't involve other things, they are safe. Now, why am I saying so? You see, the mechanisms in the country allow for checking up of other things. You know how many chemicals are being used on maize? When it has the armyworm. This drought that passed and then the armyworm, the outbreak of armyworm maybe breaks. You know those chemicals that they use. Those same chemicals are used on GMO maize. They are also used on conventional maize. You get the logic? But somebody must be able to detect the residue effects.
Okay.
Because if you are not detecting the residue effect on conventional maize, you are not detecting the residue effect on the maize, it will have an effect on a human being. But if you talk about the modification, there is no effect. Now, coming to the chicken, it's the things that people use, the antibiotics that they are using consistently without control. The feeding mechanism is just for them to grow. But I'm talking about those things that will cause effect. For example, the drugs. When you give too much drugs to those chickens and then you eat them, they will have an effect. But that's why there is the Department of Veterinary. They need to check the residue effects.
The GMOs.
Not the GMOs, but it's the things that you use together with it, the production systems.
Madam Sandra, I know these conversations you've had them. No, in Kokosha White, the taste. It's because of the GMOs.
No.
But anyway, let's get to.
No, but I can clarify that for you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have that. Then I will clarify that.
Okay. We lost that caller. But
the key thing is this.
Yeah.
You see, when you are those chickens, a normal chicken is supposed to grow in a period of about 18 weeks. 18 weeks. Exactly, yeah? It's about 18 weeks.
No, 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
No. I'm talking about a village chicken.
Oh, a village chicken. Oh.
It will grow in about 18 weeks.
Yeah.
20 weeks. That's when it will become a normal good chicken. Now, the broilers, they grow in 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
What is done to them?
So what has been done to the chickens is that you've improved this breed. You've crossed it, selected the big ones, crossed it, and improve the production systems.
Through GMOs.
Not through GMOs. Through the production systems, just by increasing light. You switch on the light 24/7 and the chicken is eating 24/7. It just drops the droppings, it comes back, it starts eating, drinks the water. Even a human being, if you feed him like that, you will see that human being will become very big. The one that is eating less will become very small.
So should also try that with the village chicken. We get it and put it in that environment. Would it also grow?
No, but remember, you've crossed. Remember, you've crossed. Okay. Yeah, you've crossed, so and you've improved it.
Exactly. Even before we come to the
exactly.
Okay. Let's get the last round of text messages before we wrap up. This one says the number is 0956 200 490 0956 200 490. This one says, hello, what a lovely topic of discussion. This is what I really long for, to be able to stand firm on what pleases okay, all right, on what pleases God. All right, thank you so much for I think sorry I actually got a wrong text message. Apologies for that. This one says, good morning, Angel and the panel. As a molecular biologist myself, I'm so happy that someone is clarifying the misconception that all GMOs are bad. We don't realize that we have had genetically modified products all around us for centuries. Food, vaccines. God has given us molecular knowledge to make things better for our lives. The intention of the GMO is what matters. Chumwemwe from Solwezi. Thank you so much, Chumwemwe.
That's my friend, because I'm a medical scientist who is a molecular biologist.
Yeah, okay. Let's see if we can squeeze in this caller. Good morning. You're through to the program.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Mr. from Chirundo.
Your name again?
Mr. Wada.
From Chirundo.
Chirundo.
Okay, go ahead with the contribution.
I've just come across this program where you're talking about the GMOs. You see, Miss Angel?
Yes.
Angel?
Yes, Angel here.
Yes. Gentlemen, let's come out clearly. You are speaking to the nation. You know, if you say GMO has no disadvantages, you are misleading the nation. The government and the experts have gone through this, they have done the test, and they found that otherwise you don't know that you were just talking in a short term. In the long term, as you take on GMOs, there are some disadvantages which may happen after taking the GMOs for some time. If the panel says, I've taken the GMOs and they are not effective, that's not true. When the government says no GMOs in the country, they are protecting the population. Now, if you mislead the nation to say that the GMOs have no disadvantages, they have no effects, I think that's not true. Come out clearly, tell us what are the disadvantages and what's the effects which will happen in the long run. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Great to know that Chirundo is listening. Okay, so we have that one. We also have this other one. And then this one says, Bro Angel tuned in. The same GMO may not be harmful to animals, but may be harmful to humans. But how do they certify that it's safe, and what animal has similar features compared to humans? Joe Kitwe. Thank you so much, Joe. Let's get another caller. Good morning. You're through to the program.
Good morning.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Dola.
Your name, please?
Bettina.
Bettina, go ahead with the contribution.
I wanted to clarify on what they say, that when you get the village chicken, you keep it as a broiler chicken, it will still grow in 6 weeks.
Okay.
I've tried that before, it doesn't work. I keep broilers. So one time my chicken hatched, immediately it hatched, I had to put the same bed, the poultry mixed with the white ones. They didn't grow at 6 weeks. That's a lie. No matter how you try to keep electricity on, that won't work.
Okay.
So the broiler chicken, the food they eat, they are GMOs. That's why they grow fast.
Okay.
That's the clarification I wanted to make.
All right. Thank you so much for your phone call. Really appreciate. Our panel will obviously respond to you.
Yeah.
The notion of certifying is not only done on GMO but even conventional foods. Meat has to be certified fit for consumption because diseased meat can also be dangerous.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that text message. Did I read out the one from Chumwemwe? Yes. Okay. I think the last caller now. Good morning. You are through to the program. Yes, your name and where you're calling us from?
Morning, thank you. Nina here.
Yes,
Morning, Nina.
Yes, I'm a bit upset myself. I've got this question.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask. I've got a friend of mine. She got a baby. When time we went to the under 5, they gave her 2 injections. That's the size, and the baby he had something like the size they got swelling. Then the other one also, she's a nurse. She's now doing nursing. She also was given that zip for polio 1 year 6 injection. She became lame. So I also want to the Minister of Health, if she's listening, so she should take note of this. I don't know if it's also a GMO. I don't know what made her lame. Up to now, they checked and checked. She's not 25 years old. She's not a nurse. It's sad that she was born okay. Now she's a lame because of the injection. So we call it a GMO.
No.
I don't know what to call it because it made her lame. Up to now,
Yeah.
She can't talk properly. Yeah. I think they ended because of time.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, Nina. I think let me get one last text message. Someone says, okay. I think that's it. I think you could respond to those, seeing that we've really run out of time. We're just remaining with about 3-4 minutes.
Start with Mr. Bwalia from Chirundu. Thank you, Mr. Bwalia, for that question. I'll go straight into talking about where we are coming from, the background of the National Biosafety Authority, and maybe just to emphasize that we're a government institution. We fall under the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment. Yes, we are coming from a background where the country said no GMO, and I think we still face that a lot. But the GMO status in the country has changed. I know a lot of times we get reference to the late president, may he so rest in peace, but we want to let you know that it is through that same time that the late President Mwanawasa, that the biosafety policy was put in place. That is the same period that the Biosafety Act came into being. So the position is that the country does allow GMOs, but with prior authorization from the NBA. We were discussing here on how the application process, the permit process, in short, for you to be able to be granted that permission to bring in this product that may contain GMOs. The country does allow with authorization because we need to conduct a risk assessment on the product to ensure that it is safe for the human beings, animals, and the environment.
In fact, Mr. Bwalia, you should be happy that it's the then President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa that put us into place so that we can make sure we regulate and ensure we only give you safe products, and those products that are not safe, we make sure that they don't enter into the country. So we've spoken a lot of things about the effects, about the risk assessments that we do for us to ensure safety for human beings, animals, and the environment. So if you have time, since you are in Chirundu, that was Chirundu, since you are in Chirundu, please go to the border there and have a one-on-one discussion with one of our inspectors at the border so that you have more information. But for your information, we are there to make sure that the only products that enter into the country are products that are safe and may contain GMOs or are genetically modified. Then the other person was saying, how do we certify? How do we certify? We have a very long process and a rigorous process which takes about 90 to 120 days for us to ensure that the product that is going to come into the country, it is safe. And we can even go further and collect samples and test and ensure that the product that has entered into the country, its modification will have no effect on human beings, animals, and the environment.
For our sister Bettina, she spoke about
the chickens,
the village chickens.
Yes.
I think just to put the record straight, I think we did not say that the village chickens grow in
6 weeks. No,
I think there was an example that they take even more than 20
they are
weeks for
18
them
weeks,
to
20
grow.
weeks. Yeah,
You did ask a question whether they could grow within the same period of time, and I think it was elaborately answered by Mr. Simontala. The village chickens, yes, true, they cannot grow within 6 weeks, Bettina.
They may actually grow in about 12 weeks or in about 12 weeks. That's when they will look like maybe the same size as broilers.
Yeah, but also maybe I think getting from her tone, she was trying to ask at what point now, and you talked about, I think that it's cross.
Yes, of course.
Yes, I think that's
crossed.
the point maybe she was looking for.
Yes, so you see the broilers, for them to grow to that size within a short period of time, a lot of things have happened in the production systems. They've been crossed over and over and eventually come up with those breeds that you are seeing that are being sold as broilers. They are good for meat production, and to enhance their meat production capacity with the production processes put in place, then it will grow to that level as quickly as possible in 6 weeks. But for a village chicken, it's meant to grow slow and grow to that extent. But if you get a village chicken, try and grow it like a broiler. It may not grow in 6 weeks, but it may grow in about 12 weeks, a little bit longer than the broiler itself. Then for Nina and the injections that the child was given, I want to tell you that when a child is being given an injection, and I would rather my colleagues from Ministry of Health actually look at that and give you a proper answer. But from the knowledge that I have as a medical scientist, I can tell you that the injections, when they are being given to people, a lot of things can occur. And a lot of things can be there. For example, there could be vaccine failure. That instead of it enabling the child to seroconvert and produce resistance against
on
that
RCV
infection
News.
that the child is being given for, instead they succumb and develop the disease instead of protection. So a lot of things can fail, a lot of things can happen. But of course, the vaccines that are given to us, they are good vaccines and they are safe. That's what I can tell you. So other things could have caused that, and not necessarily that the vaccines could have been genetically modified.
All right. Christopher and Sandra, thank you so much for coming through to today's edition of ChatBack. Unfortunately, we've run out of time.
Yeah,
would have loved to put
I'm
across
sure I
so
can
many
see we
issues.
need more time.
Of course. Yes, you
have
definitely have to come back.
Yeah.
Just take down the questions from the
Send them to us.
listeners. If you have a lot of questions, take them back, and then we can agree when we can come back.
Most definitely. Thank you so much to everybody that called, everybody that texted, our Facebook, our viewers. Thank you so much for joining us again today. And ChatBack is next back into your speakers on Monday at 9:15. So make sure you do tune in, even as we have another exciting edition of ChatBack.
ChatBack on RCV News.